Welcome back! In today's video, we are going to be exploring the tide pools at this beautiful beach, Little Corona Del Mar Beach in Newport Beach, California. Tide pools, something that only existed in textbooks where I grew up. Tide pools happen in the intertidal zone, the rocky area where the ocean meets the land. So most coastal locations, including Orange County, have 4 tides per day, 2 high tides and 2 low tides. But they're not all equal. And by that I mean one of the high tides could be higher than the other high tide, and one of the low tides could be lower than the other low tide. So I've been looking at the NOAA tide charts. They have different specific stations where they measure the high tide and low tide, and then they predict upcoming high and low tides based off the information they've collected over the years. In fact, they measure tides based off of the MLLW. So what does this mean for us? Since the MLLW is an average, that means that sometimes the lower of the 2 low tides during a day can be lower than that average, giving us what is called a minus tide. So minus tides, or sometimes called negative tides, are prime tide pooling times. If you really want to go see a lot of stuff or go out farther or get into more areas and explore more, the negative tides are when you want to do that. You should know though that in the springtime, the low tides that are minus tides mostly happen in the very early hours of the morning, so when it's dark out and you couldn't really go anyways. But sometimes in the fall and the winter in California, the minus tides end up in the afternoon, which is a great time to go look at the tide pools. And this is actually helpful in California because fall and winter are some of the less busy times at the beach. So the beach we're going to today is in Newport Beach, the city of Newport Beach. So I looked at the NOAA tide charts for a station in Newport Beach, and I found out that today, October 16th, 2020, and tomorrow actually too, there are going to be 2 negative tides in the afternoon, not in the middle of the night or early morning. So we're going to go check that out. So I made it to the beach and I found a shady, secluded little rock cave to hide in, which I'm enjoying very much. I don't do well in the heat. It's not that hot out. Well, it's like 80 some degrees out, but I'm a little warm. Anyway, the beach is beautiful and not that busy. I'm here on a Friday afternoon. It might be more busy on the weekend, but I can definitely see where the tide pools are. Tide is going out. There's some beautiful, fancy houses surrounding this area. I mean, they're like really, really, really fancy. It's interesting. I like creeping on the fancy houses. Yeah, let me show you what it looks like here. Beautiful beach. Many rocks. We like rocks. Okay, so it's pretty much low tide, and this random sea fog came in, which is actually cooling me down, which is great. I'm very warm. But we're away from the crowds a little bit, so yeah, they're all down here. Can't even see them in the fog. Anyway, there are tide pools to both the left and the right of the main beach, so let's take a look in some of these. So all these little guys are little hermit crabs. That's most of what I've seen so far, hermit crabs and then other little crabby guys that don't live in shells. Some little fish in this one. So if you come down and you're looking at the beach and you go to the left or the right, there are tide pools. The left is very, very popular with families, and
their kids just stomping all over the place, like in the tide pools, throwing rocks, picking up rocks. I mean, they're saying they're finding things like baby octopi and sea hares and things like that, but they're picking them up. They've got buckets, they've got nets. It's just crazy. So if you go right and you're okay with some rock climbing, I found an area where there are no people at all. So I climbed down from up there. It looks worse than it is. There's a trail, there's a lot of footsteps, and then, you know, just down here, and then we're gonna look in some of these tide pools, see if we can see anything different. Little fish, they move so fast. These ones are a little stripy. The other ones I saw were more black. I'm not sure what they are. Little tide pool fish. Could spend hours looking at these. Probably see some really cool stuff. Bunch of big crabs under here. And more dude bros are back yelling at me. Come on, man. I think if I had to rate this tide pool area, this whole beach in general, I'd give it a 5 out of 5. 5 stars. Well, maybe not stars, like crabs? 5 crabs? 5 out of 5 crabs. Anyway, I'm really glad that I came here, and I'll definitely be back to check it out again.
Thank you so much for joining me on my tide pool adventure today. I had a lot of fun making this video, and if you enjoyed it, consider giving it a thumbs up and subscribing if you'd like. I'm very new here, but I hope to put out a lot more content about Southern California in the very near future. Thank you so much for coming with me, and I hope to see you next time. Bye!
And brave the dude bro blanket fort that got set up over there. I don't even know.